secret to speed in anything is making more less. I'll explain. And this is a crucial insight that you must have in order to develop speed. And I don't care what it is, whether it be speed of going through scale shapes, of navigating the fretboard, or speed of a technique, or whatever it is. The whole discipline for the brain and the nervous system is to take a lot and then make it less. And the way we do that is in different ways. For instance, when we're talking alternate picking, hammer-ons and pull-offs, whatever it is, the technique-wise, you simply cannot go above the level of speed with which you can say something. So if you start saying ba 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 ba, that's about as fast as I can go. So that's da 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 da. My brain simply cannot process that many rhythm strokes, or if it's like, that's about it. That's about as fast as I can play single notes, and it's still as fast as I can play single notes. Because my brain simply cannot process it. As soon as we push for that, we reach a ceiling where we start to stumble and we can't synchronize anymore, right? Because we don't know where stuff is because just too fast, right? The same thing goes for scale shapes, whatever it is. We need to group it. Let me just finish the alternate picking analogy, and then we can go to the scale shapes, because it's exactly the same there. So what we need to do is to group, and the way we group notes, we create a button in the brain that we can push, and then that button says batata. Now we have a group of notes. So that button, instead of saying ba, it says batata. And then I can push that button with the speed of which I can process single notes. I can do that, but I have to create a spasm, a programmed little pattern of movement. And the way I do that is to have an accent in my practice. That's why we have these accents, right? So when I'm practicing triplets, if you're practicing triplets like this, with no accents, and you're just trying to, picking and doing this and trying to have it synchronized, and you're not using accents, you are wasting your time, because, relatively, you're learning a little bit of moving your hand up and down and fretting the notes, but you cannot move beyond that ceiling of how fast you can, and you're trying to, and you think it's this that can't go faster, or this that can't go faster, but very often, more often than not in people, it's not that. It's simply that they haven't grouped their notes so they can go, right? Right? And so they cannot go, right? Right? So you have to be able to do that. And the way to go about that is to have this trigger point in the brain. Batata, 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 batata. That's 6, right? Or batata, 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 right? So that's why we need accents. When it comes to scale shapes, we would, struggle to connect them. We struggle to play horizontally. We practice these freaking vertical shapes all our lives, and then we still, have a hard time going back and forth. That's because the brain cannot process what you have learned vertically in a horizontal manner. That's why you must stop playing vertical. And we get so hypnotized by the methodology we use, which for 99.9% of people when they start learning scales is vertical. So what we need to do is to find some way of making the horizontal a pattern, right? We need to have a group, because this becomes a group. Like this. It's a trigger point, right? You trigger your memory, you trigger your fingers, and then here we go. Right? It's so habitual. You cannot not go into it, because it's a grouping of information that you can trigger. Once you've triggered it, you're in a little room, right? It's the same thing with the 3 notes. It's a little room, it's a button, boom, we push it. Then to get to somewhere else, we have to push another button, right? So we have to go to another room and play, okay, we go here. But the problem is now there's no real connection between the two. There's no button I can push that connects the two, right? And that button is automatic. When I play 3 notes like ba-da-da, that's automated. That's as automated as, gripping the door handle, right? I don't think about it. It's just, hey, can we, I never think of, I have no idea how many times I did that today, because it's automated. It's unconscious, just like the 3 notes, right? And we cannot move horizontally and vertically at the same time on the fretboard until it's unconscious, automated. So we must do the same thing we did with the vertical shape to the horizontal shapes, right? And you can do that by just coming up with a way of getting, right? Just from one to the other, just through all the vertical shapes, right? And then what you do with that is you play through that shape. Right? You improvise every solo you play. You don't touch the vertical shapes at all, right? You simply play through that over and over again, or you play on the top 2 strings for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, or the 2 middle strings. You just keep at it. What have you done now? You created a pattern, an unconscious pattern. It's automated. You don't think about it. Right? You would thousands of times, like you did with the freaking first position minor pentatonic, and you stayed there, and you stayed there, and you stayed there, like going to work, following the same route every single day. It's a pattern. You can drive your car and think about all kinds of stuff because the body just does it automatically, right? So because we have been so vertical in our approach, we get stuck in the rooms, and everything is a room. It's a button you push, and then you're in a world. I'm in the first position minor pentatonic. I can see all the notes in the first minor pentatonic, and then I go to another compartment. Boom! I can see other notes now in the second position minor pentatonic. It's a button, right? So you must create another button, another automated response in the brain that goes like that. And it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care. Just what is it that you want to learn? You want to go horizontal and vertical at the same time? Draw out a freaking path through the fretboard and learn that, and then learn another one and another one. These are buttons, right? And the people who can navigate effortlessly through the fretboard is doing that. Every single one of them on the planet has these buttons, right? These paths, and they go through them over and over and over again. Their favorite little places. Like if you know a city, you say, I know Manhattan in New York, right? No, you don't. I'm sure I can place you, unless you've been driving a taxi cab for 40 years, right? I can place you someplace where you don't know where you are, right? And if I put you down there, you're not in any compartment, you're not in any pattern, right? So you don't know where you are. You know, it could be right, but if you walk 50 meters in that direction, or yards or whatever, then suddenly, hey, now I know where I am, right? Now I'm in my pattern, I'm in my room, right? But if you have to navigate and think about how do I get from here to all the way over there, like a mile or whatever, then you have to visualize that whole, and you put together patterns of, that's where that is, right? So we trigger that. Right? It's like when you look at something, if I look at my pick, the only thing that's really crisp, sharp, like HD, right, is the pick. The rest is blurry. It gets blurry here, then more and more blurry, right? That's how the brain works. So if you want to move horizontally, you're never going to look down and see a whole pattern across the fretboard. It's always a pattern of from one to the other to the third, from one to the other to the third to the fourth, from one to the other. That's why you do this, and you do it over and over again. And when you play it, you have accents, right? Because you want to group things. And so, does this make sense? I hope it does, because it's super important when we practice. There are so many questions, so many problems and challenges people have because we do not understand this concept here. We cannot play fast, we cannot learn to play horizontally, right? We need to create patterns, and we do that in picking or in technique by using accents to trigger that point with the button, and we do that. You got the point. Let me hear what you think about this video. Let me hear your thoughts about it and your struggles or whatever. Please leave a comment, and do hit the like button if you do like this video, and subscribe and hit the bell icon and share this video. And then I hope to see you in another one popping up on the screen here or in the next one.